What is up, my fellow miserable Chicago Bears fans? I'm Ryan Drosty, joined as always on a Wednesday night with my good friend Brian Orenchuk. And Brian, we are coming off yet another Chicago Bears loss, 12 out of the last 13. How are you feeling, my friend?
I've come to a place, Ryan, where this is bittersweet because obviously we're doing this because of our love for the Bears, and frankly, we love them more than they deserve to be loved. And it's a weekly occurrence and reminder of that. And it's sweet though, because this has become the highlight of my week, bro. It's not Sundays anymore. Sundays suck for the most part. You look up to it all week long, and then it comes and it's just a bash in the face. So hanging out with you, hanging out with our listeners. I don't know if you guys know this. I was a longtime listener before this. So this is what it's all about, is commiserating with friends. Misery does love company. There, hope does spring eternal. There's reasons for all the good, all the bad. And here we are. And I'm ready, man. How about you?
I mean, I'm ready for one day us to have a great team to brag about on this show. But for now, we will talk and we'll be honest about the state of the Bears. And I agree with you. To have a good friend that loves the Bears as much as I do, to have great listeners to tune in and vent our frustrations is pretty cathartic, I would say, week in and week out. And yeah, I really look forward to Wednesday nights. I hope you guys all do too. If you're joining us in the chat and you're drinking tonight, whether that's an adult beverage or something a little lighter, let us know. Would love to get you involved in the show. Of course, we are presented by Second City Gridiron, your number one source for Chicago Bears content. Make sure you subscribe here on the YouTube channel, the podcast feed. We got merch now. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. And also, if you're with us live on YouTube right now, you can really help us out by hitting that like button. Would really, really appreciate it. And you know what? I don't want to wait any longer, Brian. Let's get drinking. we need to put these flames out, as I said last week, yet again. What do you got for the glass tonight, sir?
Hey, I'm excited about tonight. So I actually got a little twofold. First, I'm going to partake in a special bottle. This is actually from a distillery in Fort Worth, so just outside of Dallas.
Okay.
It's called Blackland. A family of mine gave me this bottle, and I was extremely pleasantly surprised by how delicious it is. So I'm going to start off with this. And then I'm going to pivot, much like we are in our show, to a 30-minute light IPA. And here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. It's Dogfish Head. You've heard it. It's good stuff. They say on the box, this is a crushable drink. And I feel like both defenses this week are crushable. So it's kind of playing into that as well. Bam, bam, but I'm starting with some really good whiskey. It's a rye, which I like some ryes. I've actually been more fond of ryes than I anticipated. It's sweet, got a little smoke to it as well, though, but definitely has more of a bourbon flavor than a Scotch or a rye even. Anyway, that's what I'm doing tonight. How about you, man?
Well, I like where your head's at, and I do like a rye whiskey, especially in old fashions. I think I like rye better than bourbon whiskey, I think, in old fashions. And old fashioned is my favorite cocktail. So I appreciate that. But I also, man, we were thinking, I swear to you, you guys, we did not plan this ahead of time, like how we were going to theme our drinks tonight or anything like that. I also have a whiskey from the state of Texas. So there's not much left, as you're about to see here. There's a little bit in the bottom. I've already poured some, but this is Yellow Rose Distilling. And this one's actually out of Houston. But my friend Frank, I think it was, turned me on to this, and it's really good. It's, if you could tell, it's only 80 proof, so it's not like overpowering. Got a little sweetness to it, goes down really good. So my thought process on this was we'd acknowledge the state of Texas since we're playing the Dallas Cowboys, and first we drink their whiskey, and then hopefully we'll beat their football team. We'll see what happens. Yes. I'm not super optimistic, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit. And then look, I needed a chaser too. It's cheap. I just grabbed a Miller Lite from the garage fridge. Dogfish Head though, Brian, that was one of my very first favorite craft breweries when I was first getting into craft brew. I haven't had the 30-minute though. I've 60, 90.
Yeah.
I've had the 120, which one bottle of that will get you feeling real good.
Yeah.
But I haven't had the 30-minute.
Yeah, I have not either. Speaking of what I don't have our new Bears Over Bourbon glass. This is just a rocks glass, 1984 vintage. It's what I like to drink out of if I can. Pretty much the last time we were competitive as a team as well. So cheers to that. But hey, man, as he said earlier, we have a merch site. We have those amazing pint glasses that you have seen on this show. If you've not seen our rocks glass, I need to get one of those.
Yeah.
They didn't even have them out when I ordered my pint glass. So we'll have that before the season's over for sure.
Let me go to it. I'm just going to share this right now because Lester put this design together for the rocks glass, and it is just incredible stuff. So we'll talk more about the merch store later, but I want to share this since we're talking about it right now. So let me just share my screen. Look at this beauty. Absolutely beautiful. Bears Over Bourbon rocks glass, available $14. Link is in the podcast description and the YouTube description right now. Another way to support the show. But as you can see, it's our usual logo, some tape over the beers, and it says bourbon. I love it. I got to get that soon as well. But yeah, man, good stuff. I have my other podcast, Rock Glass, here. So it's a Top Rope Nation. As you can see, my wrestling podcast, and it's made by the same company as our merch for Second City Gridiron. And you can tell, I mean, it's high quality, it's thick, it's heavy, it's good quality. For $14, you can't get a much better rocks glass than this, I do have to say.
Nice. Well, cheers, my man.
Cheers. Oh yeah, needed something a little harder this week.
Yeah. Yes.
Got Bears Junkie in the chat giving us the salute. Welcome to the show, sir. Appreciate you joining us. Well, Brian, there's a lot of places we could start tonight. Obviously, Bears Lions was a disaster. I went into that game not thinking, if you guys listened to the show last week, we didn't think the Bears were going to win. I was toying with the idea of picking them. Didn't though. I thought they would keep it closer. No question about it. I mean, it was totally demoralizing. The Bears just got whipped up and down the field in that second half. And that game has just led to all kinds of conversation in the media. And I put it here on our graphic for the show tonight, Brian. We just start off with this. Caleb Williams, is he shouldering too much heat for the Bears in their start? What do you think of that?
Personally, yes, but you and I are and our people listening, we actually watch the games. We don't look at the box score. We don't see the highlights. We don't see the replay of the failed fourth down conversion after the failed third down conversion, the same play by Ben Johnson, which was a questionable call, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And so, we see the game. We see how the defense absolutely crumbled. We see more game stalling penalties that derail whatever momentum we have. And we see Caleb doing his darndest throughout the game. He was cleaner and crisper this week, as I notated in my day after notes, than he was last week. He was more on point with his accuracy, more on point with his decision-making and reading through the progressions. And then Ben Johnson's alluded to that in his press conference this week as well. And there's, since the bashing initiated post-game, a few experts and analysts have come out and actually supported Caleb. And I think, who would have thought the ones that actually watched the game could come away with a take that's not as hot. But I think, it's been beaten to a drum. Caleb has a target on his back regardless. And I think a lot of it to an extent is fair, not because of who he is or the color of his nails or that he paints them at all, but because he's a quarterback of a team. Mm-hmm. Quarterback of any pro football team is going to have a target on your back. They win because of you, they lose because of you. And that's just nature of the territory. It just happens to be he's doing it in a city starved for quarterback success and overall team success with the amount of media pundits that we have in Chicago. So I think he's carrying too much of the blame, Ryan. But again, I think, mainstream media and people, would argue he is the reason for the failure.
Yeah, I mean, it is just you always get this in the media. Nobody in the media really has time to watch every single game. And they look at the box scores. I mean, it's
Right.
very clear if you're watching the games closely who's actually watched the game and who is not. Don't get me wrong, we're not saying Caleb couldn't play better. But he has improved. I think we all agree. We've seen, all the people who analyze game film, former NFL quarterbacks talking about Caleb improving, and he was playing really well, I thought, in that first half overall against Detroit. And, when the game got away from him and they were forcing more obvious passing downs, he started to force some passes. He threw that interception. You're going to have that when you're playing from like 20 points down,
Right.
But like, yeah, I mean, in the first half, he was playing really well. We saw a lot of good things out of him in the Minnesota game. We're 2 games into the season, 2 games into the offense under Ben Johnson. We know Jared Goff took a while to settle in there. We've talked about this on the show before that, arguably Caleb has more talent around him maybe than Goff did when he started in the system as far as playmakers go. Although, I mean, not much of a run game. But, still, the offense is new. It's going to take a little time. We all were hoping that they could hit the ground running. And I mean, best case scenario, towards the end of this year, maybe they're hitting the ground running and really starting to look good going into the next year. But I think, we all went into this year thinking that they could compete for a wild card spot. And it's not like that's not out of the question. We don't know what the future holds. The injury situation's not making that look great right now, certainly, as we'll talk about. Anything can happen, but an 0-2 start certainly makes that very, very difficult. And so people are naturally going to look to the quarterback. And I've seen such horrendous takes, Brian, out there from big names. There was this clip going around from the Rich Eisen show where Chris Brockman was making the argument that the Bears should sit Caleb Williams, much like the Panthers did with Bryce Young, and maybe sit him down right now and bring him back after Thanksgiving. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's not playing that bad at all. And, the reason that Bryce Young went back in, if I'm not mistaken, was because Andy Dalton's family was in a car crash and he had to go back in, so like, I don't know about that as a plan. So, I mean, I saw that out there. I saw Colin Cowherd, who just has some atrocious takes sometimes. And he was out there already saying, I don't think the marriage is going to work. This is a quote. I don't think this marriage is going to work. I think Caleb may work somewhere, but this head coach did not draft this quarterback.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, that is just irresponsible to say 2 games into the pairing of Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. I mean, that's just click farming, essentially. They're just trying to get click, getting people to watch. It's dishonest journalism to say that. That's an outrageous take right now. But yeah, I mean, he's been getting a lot of the heat for sure because he's the quarterback of this team. He's the most visible player, obviously. But look, man, Rome Odunze is having a breakout year right now. Again, we're only 2 games in, but he's like top 10 or near top 10 in most wide receiver stats. And I mean, who is it getting him the ball? He's looked outstanding. Now, Caleb needs to get that connection going with more players than Rome, but him and Rome, I mean, that's looking like something for years we're going to be seeing here in Chicago.
Yeah, I'm stoked about that. And, the biggest surprise to me, Ryan, and we talked about this, I mean, we've talked about it all offseason. It was really the one thing that we were most universally excited about, and that was our offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Our offensive line has been piss poor, period. Our defensive line has been probably worse, actually. And so you can't win any games if that's the case. We came into this offseason thinking both lines that were our weaknesses a year ago would now be our strengths, or at least no longer our weaknesses. Well, they are by far our weaknesses still. And that's a huge concern. And I have hope that the offensive line will gel in time and stop missing assignments and letting free rushers go, towards the quarterback. I don't know what to think or hope about the defensive line. I don't know, Shamar Turner might be, the one unheralded, uncovered gem in there that can turn this thing around. But Dexter, Billings, Grady Jarrett might have been the worst signing we've had in Bowles' era, bro. I'm so disappointed in Grady Jarrett. And our pass rushers aren't getting home either. We had a big game from Dio Odeyingbo week 1, but he was playing against a backup left tackle for the Vikings.
Yeah.
Torched again the week after in a losing effort. Still got torched. And I don't know. Sweat he's been solid. Sweat looks like an average starter, like a guy he deserves to start, but he doesn't look like a star. He doesn't look like I think he's top 12 paid edge rusher in the league. He's not that. He's not played like that.
Yeah.
So there's so many problems outside of Caleb. Like I don't even know if he'd make top 10 as far as positions are concerned. Problematic ones on the team right now. But he does need to play more consistent and better. And like you said, though, when you're down 20, it limits your play calls. And I'm grateful that he's shown that rapport with Rome, because he has shown it with DJ some. He showed it with Olamide in the preseason and training camp. So if we can, stay in games, I think this is going to be a game to really watch those connections, because the Cowboys defense is not what we've seen so far. And meanwhile, their offense is top notch. So it's going to be potentially a shootout like they had last week against the Giants, whose offense I don't think is as good as ours.
Right.
And so, we're going to need our weapons. Like, I think the Cowboys are going to need all their weapons. I don't think they can just do that off of CD. I think just like last week, they need to get Pickens involved, Ferguson involved, and we're going to need to get Rome and DJ and hopefully Burden, Loveland, Komet. We're going to need to get these guys involved to score points. And if we're in a position to be in a shootout where we're not getting curb stomped on defense, then I think we'll see a little bit more diversity and other teammates step up. But Caleb's not the problem, that's for sure. I'm still stoked to have him as my quarterback. I'll say that.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Yeah, Russell Wilson last week, if you guys didn't see it, went to OT 40-37 with the Cowboys getting the win on that field goal at the end. 450 yards passing for Russell Wilson against this Dallas Cowboys defense. You're right. They looked bad. The secondary looked really bad. I'm looking at Russell Wilson's stats over the last couple of years. This is a guy who last year only passed over 300 yards once, which was a 414-yard game against Cincinnati. Otherwise, he never surpassed 300 yards all last year. That happened one time last year.
Yeah.
So it's not like Russell Wilson's been lightened. Everybody that watches the NFL knows that. He's not what he once was. But man, he looked like the old Russell Wilson in that game. So with as bad as the Bears defense is playing, this is a game where, to win, if they could put up 40 points, they might win. We'll see. If they just get a couple of stops, this could be like a 42-35 game for the Bears if they can put up those kinds of points. And we'll see. We said this last week that there was going to be opportunities, and we saw some opportunities early in that game against the Lions. But then, they just totally shut it all down in that second half, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I think this is a game where Caleb should throw over 300 yards.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see. And one of the other big things I wanted to, talking about the wide receivers, there's a couple of things going through my mind I wanted to talk about on the show with you tonight, Brian. But one of them was the comment that Ben Johnson said today, and I'm actually just going to play the clip here. It's 6 seconds. I think I can get the audio to share on our show. So just let me do this real quick, and then we'll talk about it here if I can get this queued up. But if you didn't see, this is Ben Johnson today in his session with the media. And this is what he had to say about the Chicago Bears and, how they have been practicing of late. So let me go to this. Hopefully you guys will hear the audio.
I think our practice habits are yet to reflect the championship caliber team.
Pretty much says it all. Short to the point, right? And he made some comments the other day about some guys when they don't have the ball. I'm paraphrasing, but it was along the lines of when they don't have the ball in their hands, what are they doing? What are we seeing on tape? And I think people on Twitter, at least, immediately thought he was talking about DJ Moore because there's been talk about DJ's body language and like last year walking off the field when the play was still going and, you know, not looking like he had the best attitude out there. And we went into this year, we talked about on the show, Brian, if Rome would surpass DJ as the number one guy this year. And, you know, I listen to a lot of Bears podcasts, a lot of the big names out there, and pretty much everyone I was listening to preseason said, not this year. They're like, maybe in 2 years, he'll be the number one guy. But I know I for sure said on our show that I thought he was going to be the number one guy this year. And you may have agreed with me. It's looking clearly like Rome is the number one receiver on this team. Again, 2 games in, but he is showing up way more. He's getting more balls thrown his direction than DJ is. And if Ben is talking about DJ, do you think it's possible the Bears shop DJ around this year and try to fix the pass rush situation, try to get another corner in here, given the injuries or the lack of production on the D line? What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a good thought. So I did believe that Rome, there's a good chance that he overtook DJ as number one, but I didn't think it was going to be this early. I thought it was going to be by the end of the year. That's what we were going to be seeing. Definitely not within the first 2 weeks. So, you know, we're a little ahead of schedule on that, which is not a bad thing, obviously. But you know, even last week, I think DJ had a better game overall, but Rome got a touchdown last week. So I don't know that I'm quite there yet. I don't even know if it was necessarily pointed at DJ, anything that he has said. I think it was overall, you know, overall practice habits. The thing I loved about that quote, though, just going back to it, that was not a canned, prepared response. The reporter asked him something along the lines, something kind of else about, you know, players and practice, and that's naturally what came up with him. So I loved it. I mean, that's a bulletin board material for all the right reasons for this team. And Caleb said that today's intensity in practice was a lot better after that. But could a trade happen for DJ? Yeah, it could. I don't foresee it happening. I foresee this being the kickoff week of our offense starting to gel on all cylinders, putting up a whole bunch of points. You know, people are forgetting our first 2 games of the season. We played 2 divisional opponents. Both of them were tough, especially on defense. And wait till these next couple games come through, and then we'll see if we have some problems with the offensive skill players. I don't think we're going to have those same problems. I think we're going to put up some points. I don't know that we're going to win. I do think we will, but I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't because, hey, we're Bears fans against the Cowboys. Next week against the Raiders, same type deal. I think we can win that game, go into the bye, and then we have the Commanders after that, who are definitely looking beatable themselves. So it's early. Like we said last week, slow down, relax, you know, take a breath. I think things will pan out. But if they don't, could DJ be traded? Should he be traded? Yes. If they don't pan out, if we don't win any games, if we can't score points, if he's not doing what he needs to do, if he doesn't gel with Ben, the reason I think he'll bounce back too is Ben made similar comments when he first got the job.
Mm-hmm.
And who really stepped up to the plate all offseason? DJ Moore. Mm-hmm. So I think it's all going to work out. I'm excited to see what they put on tape this weekend. You know, I'm not concerned about the offense. I'm not concerned about our receivers. I'm concerned about our offensive line, especially the edges. And I'm concerned about our defense, getting after the quarterback and stopping the pass, especially without Jalen. So hopefully Kyler can be back. TJ's doubtful, not looking good. We sure could use Jack Sanborn right about now, who we're going to be playing. But yeah, I'm not worried about DJ quite yet, I'll say.
Yeah, I think when I think about DJ, and you know, obviously super talented. I mean, at this point in his career, he's still the Bears' most talented receiver and most polished. You know, it's just like we have this abundance of riches there, and we spend a 2nd-round draft pick on a guy like Luther Burden, who's barely getting involved. You know, obviously there's a whole thing with Colston Loveland too, and you know, could Komet be a piece they look to trade? You know, like we have all these holes now because of the injury situation. And if you have a chance to plug in somebody from another team that's talented, you know, someone on the D line, a corner where we're super needy now because of Jalen's injury, I could see him thinking about it just because it's like, all right, because Rome's the number one guy. You get Luther more involved. Zacchaeus, it kind of came out of nowhere. Great signing ultimately from Washington, and has been a go-to guy for Caleb too. Like, he has more chemistry than DJ Moore with Caleb right now. Caleb and DJ, just for whatever reason, last year and this year, they haven't really clicked like you would expect. So he is a chip they have, in their back pocket, who's super talented that you could send somewhere, who immediately would make an impact for most teams. And if they feel like they're a move away from winning more games and getting back into that wild card hunt in a few weeks, after, like you were mentioning, Dallas, and after that Washington game, and after Vegas, and after Cincinnati, now we're not going to be having to play Joe Burrow. So that game ultimately looks more winnable now.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows where we're at, by mid-October or whatever. So it'll be really interesting to see. But this is all leading into, we could have another discussion, and all the talk about Ryan Poles and how he's failed in drafting blue chip talent. Yeah. And it's just been horrendous. Like, anytime you can get on Bears Twitter and the conversation is Ryan Pace was a better GM, that things are going up in flames. Because, my God, if we are really in a worse spot than we were when Pace left, they did make the playoffs twice under Ryan Pace. The second time probably wasn't really deserved, but they still made it. So we haven't even come close to sniffing the playoffs yet. And this team right now looks worse than last year. So, I mean, they need to make a big shift here.
Yeah,
big shift.
No, I agree. And Ryan Pace mortgaged the future to have that sort of a team, but he still drafted more Pro Bowlers, or just as many as Ryan Poles has. And so there's a legitimate gripe there. Again, I think we're a little early for too much panic. This is the eternal optimist in me. And that's with me kind of putting that curb stomping that we just experienced, which, by the way, I think is the last 50-point game we've had since Tressman, I believe.
November of 2014 against the Packers. And I think there was one against the Patriots either right before or right after that too. Or it would have been right before that, because the Packers one was the last one. Yeah.
A historically bad loss that nobody expected.
Top 10 in Bears history.
So that makes things a little bit more interesting. But I just kind of wash that away as just a loss, because wins, no matter how big or small, are wins. Same thing with losses. They were super motivated. I think Adam Rank said this week it was their Super Bowl to beat Ben Johnson when he came home, and especially after they got embarrassed against the Packers the week prior. They just brought more energy than we did for whatever reason. So, point being, move on from that game. Let's see how we respond at home, which I like the afternoon game, by the way. I don't know how you feel about that, but the 3:25 Central Time, I like that. I like it's nice and sunny, and it starts to get darker. By the end of it, it's dark. I kind of like that. I'm digging that. I'm looking forward to seeing how they respond. More eyes will be on them because of the time. But let's see how we play against the Cowboys before we really start to panic. But even then, I think we go into the bye week and reassess, and I'm expecting Caleb and the offense to be close to full cylinders at that point.
Yeah. All right, guys, before we go any further, we're going to talk about some of the sponsors of the show. And one of the sponsors this week, we alluded to it a little bit ago, is the Second City Gridiron Store, which we have just launched over the last couple of weeks. If you want to access that, it is in the description of both the podcast and the YouTube video right now. But I'm going to show you some things on the screen because I'm just super pumped about this. We got merch for all the shows now. Let's see some of that merch. So if you're watching on the video screen, you can see some of it here, and then we'll get back to the show. But yes, link to the bottom, Second City Gridiron Store over on Fourth Wall. We've got T-shirts, we've got drinkware, we've got hats. We've got some new pretty funny shirts that some people I don't think have even seen yet. Here's the Bears Over Bourbon Rocks glass we were just talking about here a little bit ago, because some weeks we need something a little bit harder in our glasses, Brian, as we talked about. We got hats, we got beanies, but look, there's even a Bears Over Beers hat you can now get. But all the shows, Mac and Reed, Bear and Balanced, Bare Bones, Taylor Dahl's got some merch on here as well. Bears Banter, of course, Bill Zimmerman. Look at this shirt that was just launched. Let me just go to this. I just saw this a little bit ago. And By the way, some of these, I like the Bears over Beers one where we got the logo on the back and on the front chest. I got the Second City Gridiron logo. That's pretty cool. But I did see that there's a great one right there, Making Monsters with Taylor Dahl. There's the Bears over Beers big logo on the front. But this one I wanted to show you, Brian, because I don't know if you've seen this yet. They must have just made it. Jacob Infante, our good friend, once in a while he's a co-host here on Bears over Beers. His famous tweet that made him famous. Well, that game sucked. And you may know what he said after that. This is an edited version of that shirt. There is the real one too. Let me just show you. Oh, we also have This Is Fine with a Bears fan and the house on fire. The meme adapted to be a Bears fan here.
Yeah.
But there is the not safe for work version of the Jacob Infante tweet. I'm not going to read it on the air. If you know, you know. That's just hilarious. I had no idea that Lester put that
They
together.
got a pink one too. That's fun.
Yeah. This one I'm probably going to pick up. The Second City Gridiron hoodie for fall and winter. That looks super comfy. $34 for a hoodie. That's a hell of a deal. You got that. Like I said, there's Bears over Beers stuff. There's glassware. Just another way to support all of the shows here on Second City Gridiron. And as you guys all know, we've got new shows coming up from all of our hosts almost every single day. So support the shows, support the website. Link in the podcast description. All right. Let's get back to the football now. So do you have anything that you wanted to talk about from the Lions game, or should we just wipe it clean and move on? Anything we haven't mentioned yet?
They played a heck of a game. Their lines dominated ours. I didn't expect that, so kudos to them. I was impressed by their play calling. Johnny Morton, he didn't impress me week 1 against the Packers. Dude, I hate the Packers. They get people's weak games, and we got their strong game, and they took it to us. I am excited to see them the last game of the season. I hope we have some more guys healthy. Even if we're not in contention, they will be, and I hope we can knock them out of it. That's going to be a big game, again, assuming that we have some healthy players back. But no, I mean, they whooped us, and it's time to move on.
Let me ask you, as a former college football player, what did you think about them throwing a touchdown pass on 4th down? Like, would that bother you? I know afterwards Ben was asked about it, and he said, what are they supposed to do there? And how do you feel about that?
So, interesting thing is in college that matters. Like you kind of need to run the score up. In the pros, you don't need to. Ben made the right response in what he said, but they didn't have to do that. There have been plenty of teams within a yard or two that have kneeled it out because the game's out of reach. They were sending a message to Ben Johnson and the division rival team. And who are we to dispute that? They earned the right to embarrass us with that extra little grind of the foot on the curb. But as a player, hell yeah, I'd be pissed. Hell yeah, I'd be pissed and want to get it to him next time we play him. But all they can do now is right the ship during practice this week, take it like a man, and step up and get their first win, because they just got embarrassed. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't blame anybody. It's not just a regular old game. Ben Johnson left, Aaron Glenn left, all sorts of coaches left. So everybody's questioning Dan Campbell and the Lions' ability. They just got embarrassed by the Packers. They needed a statement win, and they got one at the expense of us, which sucks, but they earned it. But as Bears fan and player, yeah, I'd be pissed, but nothing you can do about it until we play them again, unless you turn around the focus this week and beat the Cowboys at home, because that's all you can do. And if we don't, then they deserve to curb stomp us as well.
Yeah. No, I mean, I felt like the Bears absolutely deserved it the way that they didn't show up in the game. But I also felt like, that's bulletin board type material for down the road.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something Ben Johnson is going to remember and hopefully when the Bears have a really solid team, they're in a position for a little payback. And I'm sure he's going to do it, if he has the opportunity to run up the score on Detroit. Like hopefully there's, this swings back the opposite direction, which it will at some point. And hopefully if Ben is the head coach of the Bears, they can get their comeuppance the other way. But right now, I mean, they're clearly the much, much better team. And if that's how they want to play, that's how they want to play. But,
Right.
It's so easy to draw these correlations. Like I immediately thought of that 84 game with the 49ers and the Bears, and, how they felt disrespected when they lost the NFC title game. And then, the Bears really laid it in when they played them during the 85 season. It's like something like that, where they come back. It's probably not going to be in a year. It might be a couple of years where if the Bears reach that level where they're playing pretty dominant and Detroit's on a downside, they can get some payback there. But, speaking of that, I just love what I'm seeing out of Ben Johnson. Like that quote that I played here a little bit ago from his press conference today. I think when I first saw it, it was being quoted by a Twitter account that was like, "Oh, Bears fans, you don't want to see this." I was like, "What do you mean I don't want to see that? That's exactly what I want to see." I am glad there's a Bears coach that is holding his players accountable.
Right.
Finally, because what we've had, Eberflus, inmates run the asylum, had no command over the team. Obviously Trestman was like that. Those 2 years under Trestman, by the halfway through 2014, the freaking locker room was burning down. Brandon Marshall wanted to kill somebody. So they brought in John Fox, who didn't really care at that point in his career, is just trying to set a baseline with the Bears, and Nagy, we all know the story there. So, finally somebody's going to hold these guys to account. And, he didn't call anyone out by name, but he's alluding to people aren't giving their all in practice. And, it's kind of like, I hate to keep drawing this correlation, but it reminded me of those great 80s teams when Ditka arrived. And I'll just say flat out for our listeners, and people are going to hate me for saying this, I'm not the biggest Mike Ditka fan as a coach. I think he was an awesome tight end. I think the 80s Bears left some championships on the table, and I think Mike has something to do with that. I'll just say that. But I did like that story about how when he showed up in Chicago, he was like, we're going to go to the Super Bowl in 3 years or whatever it was, and half you guys aren't going to be here. And I think that that's probably similar to right now with the Bears. When this Bears team reaches the level that Ben Johnson can hopefully put them at, a lot of these guys aren't going to be on the team, Brian. They're going to be gone. And those are the guys that aren't practicing hard right now.
Yeah.
They've become complacent with losing. It seems to me, and I put this out on Twitter too, but it just seems like this losing culture has taken over this team.
Yep.
And how could it not? I guess if you're getting paid millions of dollars and you don't care as much, to lose 12 out of 13 games, I would be humiliated if I was a player on this team. I wouldn't want to be seen on the streets of Chicago. 12 out of 13 games. That's pathetic, man. I had more fun watching the late 90s Bears than I am watching this team over the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Because look, my expectations weren't real high then either, but they had some fun players. They had some good wins.
Yeah.
This team is don't have wins. 12 out of 13. I cannot remember a more depressing stretch when it comes to wins, losses as a Bears fan than right now, stretching back to last year.
Oh gosh. And that doesn't even take into account the one score losses, the heartbreakers that we've had in that time frame, with Eberflus especially. We had so many games right at the end there. And week 1 of this year was a win we had in our clutches, and we let it slip. And that's the thing, is we're freaking used to it, man. And it's depressing, and it needs to change. You're right. And so, hopefully, it's one of those things. You hear the Ditkus say it, and Ben sounds like him, but at the end of the day, there's still doubt in the back of my mind. Is Ben even for real? I question everybody. Is Caleb for real? Yeah. Is anybody actually legit on this team and coaching staff? Because we've not seen it in so long. But all they can do is go back and show it. And it's going to be a good test. They're going to have to be some guys that step up. And if we were going to pull a trade, Ryan, I would say I would rather an edge than a quarter. Or even a DT. Get me a defensive tackle, like the stud from the Ravens or the Rams. Get me one of those guys that can impact the pass rusher as a pass rusher every play. But yeah, it's tough, man. I don't know. Like, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It's the highlight of our week right here. My week is this. We haven't been disappointed yet, and we're just getting off a disappointment. But right now, we're not at that low point, and it's better to not be there than anywhere else. So we'll take it. But it's a winnable game. We'll see if we win it, though.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be feeling a lot better next week if they somehow pull this off, because I do still think that the Vegas game is winnable for sure. And you know, by the time we get there, if we can head into that by 2-2, who knows, a whole new season. But if they lose this game,
Yeah,
and you're sitting at 0-3, I mean, that feels pretty bad. It feels like the season's getting away from us now. 0-2, yeah, you can recover. I know what the numbers say. I think it's something like less than 10% of teams that start 0-2 make the playoffs. I don't think the Bears ever have.
Yeah, but I wonder, is that even with the extra game? I feel like that's not. I feel like that's all time.
Yeah, it's got to be all time. You add that extra game in, and when you're talking about a season, it goes from 16 to 17. Like that one game makes a big difference. And you know, we got the extra playoff team too now that they didn't used to have. Like I mentioned, you know, the 2020 Bears when they went to the playoffs, it was so weird because it was like, we're in the playoffs. We don't really deserve, like, we're not going to beat the Saints. It was such a weird one, you know, and that's our last playoff appearance, but it still counts. You know, they were in, and so we got that extra team now. Somebody gets in usually that's not great.
We actually were close to winning that game too, by the way.
Yeah, could have won.
But yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't count, but it does count. And the thing I like about Ryan Poles is we have a young roster right now. We've got a couple old guys that are starting, but overall, it's a young team. And if we can be in contention with this young squad by the end of the year, I'll be happy. Even if we don't make it to the playoffs. You know why, Ryan? Because that means we have won some games. We've won enough games to be in contention, which means we have won a few games on Sundays, so my Sundays aren't terrible. Like all of you listening, because that really sucks when Sundays come and you're all excited, all pumped up. Opening kickoff, things looking good. First drive, 2 first opening drive touchdowns this year, right? Like, what is that? And then cup hunk, it falls apart.
Wasn't that so weird? You know, we talked about week 1, how it sucked, especially week 1. To wait all the way from Monday night. Like you have your weekend in, then you got to go back to work, and still your team hasn't played. Then you get Monday night, but then we play in, you know, that noon slot on Sunday. I'm thinking, all right, here we go, full day of football. And that Bears game was just such a downer, just to lose by that much, just totally get your clocks cleaned. That didn't even like feel like watching football after it. And I was planning on watching football the whole day, but I was just like out of it after that. I was like, oh my God, here we go again, you know. And it was just such a downer. So hopefully this week, you know, we play later, 3:25. I hope they have me excited, you know, to watch Sunday night football afterwards. But man, it can't possibly be as bad as I know the 2014 Bears back-to-back games gave up 50 points, but man, can't be that bad, right? Please tell me it can't be that bad.
I won't be upset if we give up 50 if we score more than that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'll still be a little scared, but and again, like if anyone can do it, we can against the Cowboys. Russell Wilson is not good anymore.
The corpse of Russell Wilson for 450 yards. Yeah.
He basically chucked it up to Malik Neighbors a bunch and, you know, got some guys open. And I mean, Caleb better show up. If this might be the game that I finally turn on Caleb if he doesn't, I'll say that.
Yeah, he's gonna have opportunities. He's got to put up yards in this game. This is the game where he gets back on pace for 4,000 yards.
4,000 yards.
But I mean, to tell you, you know, about Russell Wilson, dude. Okay, so you guys know, if you don't know, I also host a pro wrestling podcast, and I'm on Bleacher Report doing wrestling coverage over there. And he was at SummerSlam, which is like the second biggest WWE pay-per-view of the year, and it was in New York this summer. And Russell Wilson was sitting front row, and they introduced him to the crowd at MetLife, and he got booed out of the place.
What?
Yeah. They're like, no, we don't want Russell Wilson. They booed the shit out of him, dude. It was crazy. That's what they thought about Russell Wilson, going into this year. 450 yards passing last week.
I think he's leading the league right now in pass yards.
Oh man, he's got to be after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. 450 yards passing, 73% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, passer rating of 123, QBR of 75, 30 of 41. There's going to be opportunities this is one of those games where I don't want to give betting advice, but I'd take the over on Caleb. I haven't even see what it's set at right now. I'd probably take the over on what Rome's receiving is. It should be a big game. Even if they lose, they should put up numbers.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Hopefully DJ can get back on track too. But yeah, Rome has legitimized himself as a threat. So hopefully he starts taking some coverage too. And maybe we'll see our tight ends get targeted more than twice this week.
Yeah, maybe we'll actually see Colston Loveland show up. That would be, not to harp on Ryan Poles too much, but he's been getting a lot of it the last few days, and rightfully so.
Yeah, you were about to talk about the draft picks, and they've been non-existent, bro.
The first 4 picks in the 2025 draft, didn't really contribute or were inactive on Sunday. That you can't have that. No good teams have that.
Unacceptable.
Especially a team with a talent deficit like the Bears have at all these positions. And we got on our show and we were excited about what Luther Burden could do, and Colston Loveland's a playmaker, but we also acknowledge they got players at those positions. So it was very odd. We didn't see that coming.
Right.
And then for them to not utilize them is even more head scratching. And there's all the stuff out there about the different guys they could have got at some of these picks, and of course the Torrey Taylor pick and all of that.
Oh gosh, don't get me started, bro. But the disappointing thing for me, we've talked about the weaknesses of our team being the lines. Mm-hmm. Well, 2 of those second rounders were on the line. You have Shamar Turner, who has not made an appearance yet, and Ozzie Trapillo, who also hasn't made an appearance yet. They're playing on the line. With the way Braxton finished the game, he looked like he was not healthy. He was struggling. Mm-hmm. Dude, put Ozzie in there. Just let's have a rookie learn on the job. Get Shamar Turner in there. Hopefully he plays this week, especially if Grady Jarrett is hurt and not able to play, which hopefully he's not able to play. Mm-hmm. And then get Shamar Turner. We need to see what we've got. They got to give us a spark. And if they are not talented enough with injuries and poor play to make the roster and play on Sunday, why the F did we draft them? That's the bottom line. Mm-hmm. And if you are not playing them, then you are admitting that you made a mistake. And I would love to hear the accountability that Ben Johnson exudes come from Ryan Poles. Yeah, I made a mistake. I swung and I missed a couple of our dude, you can't do that as a GM. Mm-mm. We need so much talent. You get 3 swings in the second round and you're going to miss on 2 of them. And I love Burden. I think he's going to be a playmaker. I like what he does when he gets the ball in his hands, but we need
impact players right now. We have clear needs. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He's a guy where he's probably going to start getting a lot of balls thrown his way when DJ's gone. And I don't think DJ is living out the contract in Chicago. Spoiler alert. Right. So, when that happens, then he's clearly going to be more involved. But right now, you barely see him out there. Once in a while, they've got him involved in special teams.
Yeah.
But it's just so damning just because, obviously our GM was an O-lineman. His inability to scout the O-line. I was pretty excited, early in training camp. I thought Ozzie Trapillo was going to rise up and become the guy that took over left tackle. And then he just kind of drifted away, and I was like, no, he can't really play left tackle. That's going to be the Canadian Eagle, Theo Benedict. And now he's on the right side. And it's well, Darnell Wright, the first round pick that we have all these high hopes for. So then what are you doing picking Ozzie Trapillo? Your scouting didn't tell you that he couldn't play on the left side and he wasn't going to work at the NFL level. That is incredibly damning that could work out that way. So for him to, and oh God, don't get me started on Jonah Jackson. He's been horrible, absolutely atrocious out there. The penalties, the whiffing on blocks, we know he had a Pro Bowl season under Ben Johnson, but this is the LA Rams, Jonah Jackson so far. Yeah. It's bad. It's real bad.
Yeah.
And then all the problems on the D line. I would be really, really interested to see what happens when Austin Booker gets back, because he was looking so good in the preseason. Got all these hopes for him. That injury really, really sucked. But I still hope that he can be a diamond in the rough that really lights it up whenever he gets
spark.
back.
We could use a spark. Get off the field on third down every now and then would be huge.
Mm-hmm.
But just like last year, our run D is pathetic.
Yeah.
And so I'm really hoping that Shamar Turner can step up and do something, because Grady Jarrett has been terrible, like we said. And but you're right. I mean, it was demoralizing. I think he led the preseason in sacks when he was, and he didn't even play that much. Led the preseason in sacks. He showed in camp that he was ready to step up this year, and then he got hurt. So, and I think he'll be back after the bye. I think that's when he comes back, is the bye week.
Yeah.
So he'll be back against the Commanders, which would be huge. But yeah, yeah, man, it's tough. Hopefully these rookies, I mean, they have a prime opportunity this week, so we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know. That Commanders game, going to be real interesting, because Jaden doesn't appear to be the healthiest right now. Who knows what's going to happen there? Dealing with some kind of knee injury. They don't really know if he's going to play this week. He definitely hasn't been performing like he did his rookie year, where he lit it all up. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And so that game definitely looms large coming out of the bye. And if the Bears can get 2-2, that's going to be really exciting coming into that game. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reason for optimism at that point, but we got to win our first game first. Ben Johnson has not tasted victory as coach of the Chicago Bears yet.
I don't even know. Like, it's so weird. We talked about the Bears players being complacent with losing, and like this mentality just taking over the locker room where they're getting used to it. You don't want that at all. That's the worst thing that can happen to a team, stretching over 2 seasons now.
Yeah.
It just, even when we were bad, I don't remember feeling this way, where like, it seems like we need a freaking miracle to even win a game, Brian. Like, one game in 13 that we've won is just, I can't even like wrap my head around that. It just feels like we never win.
Yeah.
Like, my kids are like just starting to watch football, just like yours. And it's like, Dad, how can the Bears never win? I'm like, I don't know.
I know.
never win
that,
anymore. It's
that,
crazy,
that probably right there is the worst. Like, Dad, they're going to lose. They stink. They never win. It's like, I can't even argue that. My 10-year-old daughter, you're right. You're right.
I keep telling her, I'm like, you know what? It's true. When I get good again, it makes it so much sweeter.
Yeah.
So much more fun after you go through all this darkness. I've only been going through the darkness for decades now.
Hey, cheers to withstanding the darkness with something light and drinkable. Yeah, I mean, gosh, it's tough. What is a miracle? Is a miracle an immaculate reception? Then sure, that would help. But at the end of the day, like when you watch games, it's a big play here or there at a good time. That's all it is a big play. Now, granted, penalties will hurt us, but we need some guys to step up and make some big plays this week. Cooper Beebe is out, the starting center for the Cowboys. We need Javon Dexter Sr. to get in Dak's face, cause a pressured ball, intercepted by Tremaine Edmonds or Jaquan Brisker, taken to the house, or at least close back to it. We got one of those in week 1, Nashawn Wright.
I was going to say, it seemed like that was what we needed in that game to put it over the top at the time.
Yeah, and now, granted, we weren't playing against the same caliber defense at that time as we are this week, and there's all sorts of excuses being made. We need guys making plays on offense too. We need a running back to take it to the house or rip off a big chunk, or we just need some big plays. Now I have seen the Bears are top 2 in explosive plays this year so far. So we're getting those explosive plays. But the problem is we're not converting them every time in the points. And that's what we need. We need some points. So we need some guys that step up, man. Home field, it's time to do it. And I wouldn't say those are miracles. Those are big plays, momentum shifting type plays. But we just need some guys to step up. I think Kyle Long said today on a podcast, where are the Urlachers, the Briggs, the Tillmans? Where are those guys on our team? Are we going to have to wait till the end of the season to know who those guys are? who's going to step up and make plays right now. Right now, we've got nobody. We got maybe Rome, but he doesn't look elite. He just looks really good.
Mhm.
So who do we have on our team right now? Arguably nobody on our team is a big threat. You know, Russell Wilson had all those numbers because of Malik Neighbors, who is a scary blue chip threat out wide. The Cowboys got CeeDee Lamb. They got Pickens. Dak's playing some tremendous ball. Their offensive line, a bunch of bullies that push people around. On defense, they don't have Mike anymore, but you know, we got to step up and make plays. So who's going to make plays? We'll see. Who are you going to be giving your game balls to next week? We'll see. But hopefully some people earn it outright and it's not even close who it should go to. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. Yeah, we need those alphas to step up for sure. And look, when it all comes down to it, we can't lose the Eberflus Bowl here. We cannot let Matt Eberflus leave Chicago with a W. Just cannot happen, Bears. So make it happen somehow. Let us come on this show next Wednesday, celebrate a victory for only the second time since what? Well, no, I guess more than two. They won more than that last year, but it's the second time in 14 games since we've been on Bears Over Beers. So hopefully it'll be a fun weekend and we'll enjoy our Sunday, Brian. But I've enjoyed Wednesday night. This has been a blast.
Yes, always is a pleasure. But like you said, man, hopefully we'll have something, more positive to talk about. And looking forward to another win after that. But I'm excited. If you're going to the game, let us know. We definitely need to get some swag on you if that's the case for Soldier Field representing. But it's going to be a good one, man. Hopefully the fans show up and do their thing. Afternoon game. Gosh, Cowboys. We'll see. We got to slow them down. Who's going to make a play? We'll see.
Home game. Got to bring home the win. Figure out a way. Find a way.
And it's a conference game, For Vegas is not conference. Like, we need this win. If we want a shot at the wild card, this is an important one for us. So need to take it.
Change the narrative, Caleb. You want these people to not stop talking about you in a negative way? Go out there and throw for over 350 yards and multiple touchdowns and beat the Cowboys. That's the way to do it.
Dak Prescott.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So this has been Bears Over Beers. While you're here, hit subscribe. Check out all of the shows here. I know there's some big ones in the can that are coming up later this week that we've been talking about it in our host chat that you're not going to want to miss from some of the other content creators here on the channel. So make sure you're subscribed on the YouTube channel or on the podcast feed. Leave us a 5-star review if you're over on the podcast feed. That would help us all out so much. And again, the thumbs up on this video will help us reach more people in the video on demand after we leave the air tonight. So appreciate all your support. You can check out that merch store that we mentioned multiple times tonight in description and help us all out. You can follow Brian at Brian Orenchuk over on Twitter. And you can follow me at Ryan Drosty and the show at Bears Over Beers. And as always, we'll be back next Wednesday night, win or lose, or tie even, at 8 p.m. Chicago time. We'll see you all then. Enjoy the Bears. Brian, bear down.
Bear down, bud.